Well, wow, this doesn't really look very good. It's okay though. Doesn't matter. We have other things. Sorry. I was going to have a guest, but looks like it's not going to work out. But, it doesn't really matter because nobody's watching. It's just me. And that's fine. Because what I want to talk about isn't very comfortable for, I assume it won't be comfortable for some others. But then again, who knows? I don't know. You know what? Kind of wondering if I even really want to do this on YouTube. Yeah, why not? Again. Let's see if I can try that one more time. Fuck, why am I? All right, well. if it's possible. Okay. All right. Let me find it. Well, okay, that's working. All right, so we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Now what I gotta do. All right, welcome to the Madcitypodcast, Season 2. We're gonna call the first episode sort of like a soft lean in, perhaps. Yeah, okay. Remember, share to groups. Yes. What is going on here? Okay. Oh my God, what is happening? Ah, too much going on. Oh. Anyway, so yeah, that was a I don't know, wrong crowd. Let's just put it like that. That was the wrong crowd for what I was trying to do. I mean, let's go over a little bit of it though, maybe, because I feel like maybe what's wrong with it isn't like the jokes themselves. It's that it's not like the jokes can land. It's just I think the context, because they're I seem to forget sometimes, a lot of the time. Most of the time I forget that everyone else doesn't also exist up here in my head and know all the things that I know, and I know this. This is evidenced by my use of the word obviously. I say obviously quite a bit, and the reason I do that is because I take for granted that everybody else would somehow know everything that I am trying to talk about, which is ridiculous, of course. So, with that in mind, um, sorry, dealing with some technical issues here. I'm going to go over just like a few of the things. I'm not going to get into all the stuff. I'm not going to go over the whole everything, but well, like, okay, for example, one of the jokes is about, I tell people that I go and I visit children. I visit kids up in a children's cancer ward here in Madison. I'm like a at least a monthly basis. This is something I've been claiming to do for years. Something I've never done. Not that I never would, of course. I've gone to see people in the hospital many times when someone was sick or dying, and or just in the emergency room. I've taken people to the emergency room. I've had to hold the hand of some of the toughest guys ever. Like my friend Toby, he had this really bad infection. He said his hand got caught in a door. I think that was bullshit. I don't know, but like, why would it pulse out like that? It was like this big, and we had to. Everyone insisted. He's like, I don't want to go by yourself. So I was like, I'll go with you. So I held his hand, his other hand. Went to the hospital, and they lanced it, and they had to like push out all this thick pus and blood. It was like one of those things, that people light on fire on the sidewalk around like 4th of July. The snakes. It was like yellow, white, and red. I don't know what colors, what flag those colors go for, but anyway, it was pretty gnarly. He couldn't look at it. Dog boy was not impressed. Anyway, I've made it a point to go to hospitals plenty of times, and I have no qualms with being around sick or dying people. But the joke goes like this. I lead into it by saying something really, really fucked up, and something that makes me out to be some kind of terrible person. Because all of my comedy is an exaggeration of my ego, like most comics, except I go the other way. Most people who do stand-up comedy, they lower themselves, they degrade themselves, and they do like self-deprecating comedy. They talk about how little their dick is, and how often they don't get laid, and like nothing ever works out for them. They're just hopeless. It's just like the exaggeration of how sad their life is, and in a way it's supposed to I guess make them feel better for how crappy it actually is. I guess that's like the formula. See, for me, what I do is I go over the top with like how egocentric I am, and like how vain I am, and like almost narcissistic. I'm not. I do have empathy, but that's sort of part of the joke, though, is going into this bit about like but hey, I'm not a monster. As a matter of fact, at least once a month, one Sunday a month, I make it a point to go up to the children's hospital and visit the kids in the cancer ward. I do. It's important to me because, in the world we live in today, no matter what's going on, no matter what's happening, no matter what I'm seeing on the news, no matter how much I'm getting bogged down by crap, coming in the mail, I can look at these little kids and I can say, when I walk out of there, I can know in my heart, I'm going to outlive all of these little bastards. And it just makes me feel so good. Makes me so much better. Now, obviously, it's not funny to joke about children dying of cancer or anything. And the way I end that joke is to say, I'm kidding, of course. I would never go into a kid's cancer ward. Ugh, gross. But of course I would. I would gladly dress up like a clown and go and amuse children who are dying, or just sit and talk with them. I'm sure they would have fascinating, amazing things to say, like their process of going through that. Could, shit. I mean, I've read Tuesdays with Maury several times, and that was the story of like an old man with a lot of experience in his subtle steps in death. Imagine that from like a child's perspective. That's a book I would read. That's a book I would write if I were a kid that died. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Depending on who was around me. I mean, that's clearly that would have to be orchestrated by the parents or some other family member. But anyway, the point of that joke is that there are people out there who love to celebrate themselves by patting themselves on the back, showing up on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, saying like, "Oh yeah, I did this great deed." You know, fucking, I paid for somebody's Happy Meal behind me or something, or I bought a latte at a Starbucks for a stranger, or even like, I gave a bum on the street, I gave a homeless person some money. It's like, good for you. Like, why are you projecting it? Like, why does it, what? It's great that you did this thing, but the way people make a spectacle out of giving charity and being kind takes a lot away from the motive and intent of doing kind acts. It shouldn't matter who knows about it. In fact, you shouldn't tell. I'm not like you're ashamed. I mean, don't keep it a secret. But it's not necessary, I mean, but think about this. If that's what you're doing to feel better about yourself, you must know deep down that you're more fucked up than any dying kid is. Their perspective on life is probably a hell of a lot better than yours. Another joke, my closer that often goes over people's heads is, I note that, a lot of people are drinking in the audience, and I just want to say, I hope everybody gets home safe, as a, recovering addict and alcoholic myself, I've been in a lot of precarious situations. I've made a lot of poor decisions. I've been on both sides of, a situation where, somebody's, way too drunk and somebody's just drunk enough, so I want to make sure nobody gets taken advantage of. Because, I mean, seriously, when it comes to, sex, I mean, taking advantage of somebody, who's like wasted when you're just a little drunk. I mean, that's like trying to fuck somebody with special needs. And that's just retarded. Now, see, originally that joke was, no, that's like fucking a retard or something really stupid like that. I said it to my mom, and she's like, no, they're called special needs, people with special needs. It's like, oh, okay. Awesome. Thanks, Mom. So I rewrote it. But the point of that is that one night I was hanging out after a comedy show, like a comedy open mic. There was like a contest thing that I won, apparently, like by audience applause. I was the funniest comic that went up that night. It was at the what's that burrito place? God, the fucking burrito place downtown where all the hippies go. Oh my god, totally fucking spacing. If anybody fucking remembers it, write a comment. The burrito place in Madison downtown where all the stoners go. So anyway, yeah, I was hanging out there after the show, went to another bar with another comic and then these two girls. And I was really into like this one chick, but she, for whatever reason, was sitting with the dude that I was with. And I was sitting with this other girl, and it was cool. I mean, like she was fun and everything. She was pretty funny. And and she seemed to really like me. So I was just like, okay, cool. This is a great night. I mean, like, I won the comedy contest or whatever. And, I was pretty high on that, but I wasn't high on anything else. I was totally fucking sober at the time. I was totally legit fucking clean. So this is like back in like early 2016, maybe, or like 2015. And ended up going back to, I drove all of us back to his house. He went in the back bedroom with the one girl, and I was out on the couch with the other one. And she started making out with me, and it was great. I mean, I was enjoying myself. I didn't really think we were going to like fuck on the couch necessarily, but we got pretty, into what we were doing when all of a sudden she like paused and she's like, wait. And I kind of went back, and she asked me the question, how did we get here? And I was like, I drove us all here. You drove us here, like, in your car? I was like, whoa, put the fucking brakes on this shit right now. Okay? Because I'm pretty sure that she just come out of a fucking blackout. Now, if that had happened, like, and we'd gotten into, like, really got, like, heavy into, like, like, about to fuck, the implications of that, I mean, are so fucking unethical. And it made me so uncomfortable. And I said this as a, made it part of my joke later on, part of a bit. But I'll be honest, a part of the reason why I chose to start drinking again, aside from the fact that, like, I was just fucked up and stupid, is that, like, having people hit on me and want to make out with me or get with me, or, like, I felt like I was potentially, and I know this sounds stupid, but like missing opportunities at relationships, I mean, yeah, that might have failed. I mean, I know some people do meet people in bars and become happy together and whatnot. Some people, it's terrible, but I couldn't ethically continue like going out, and off with person that was under the influence if I wasn't. I couldn't do that again. So it's just like, I don't know if this person is really, if this is really something that they want to do. I mean, sure, they say that now, but if they're under the influence, I don't know, and like, and where's the line? I'm not with this person all the fucking time. I have no idea what their limits are. So it's too questionable. And I could give a fuck about the, the ramifications of social media and being, canceled and all that shit. I don't care about any of that. I'm talking about how I'd feel about myself as a person, like, I have been a victim of sexual assault, and I do not want to be the perpetrator in that scenario ever. It's super fucked up, and nobody should ever have to fucking experience that. And even just as a question, even just like times where I've just woken up and been like, oh man, just regretting that I slept with somebody, because it was like, the heat of the moment or something to do at the time. It's like, thanks for the chlamydia, whatever. I don't know. I mean, worse things can happen. So it's just not worth it, So that's, there is context to these things. So perhaps, I don't know, I should make a point of those. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about today. What I want to talk about in this podcast, in episode 2, season 2 of the Mad City Podcast. By the way, welcome, all of you who are here on Spotify and YouTube and Facebook and all the other things that the Anchor FM app doesn't want me to care about as much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me through season 1 and getting to know me and listening to all my bullshit and the ups and the downs. I know it was a real downer that we ended on, so we're not going to start off real big and positive. I mean, the sun is shining, but that's nice. I mean, out of my window. I can't say that's true for everybody. It's all about perspective and relativity. So what I want to announce today is, well, I've been talking about this for a long time, about writing a book. I talked about making the season 1, actually transcribing that and making that into a book. But really, that would just be like, just like an opening, like an opening statement. That would be like a prologue, an introduction to something else. I mean, honestly, I don't want to do that. I've decided that I don't want to write a book. I mean, I do want to write an autobiography or autobiographical. I want to write autobiographically, because the experiences of my life are fascinating and important and just amazing in so many ways. The fact that I've survived so many things and the people involved and like just the circumstances surrounding shit. I mean, it's all just so crazy. I mean, it's a story that needs to be told, but that's not the point. I don't want to just say it like this linear story, because I'm not that important as a person. Like, I haven't done anything in my life that would require anyone to know my story that doesn't know me. And everybody that knows me knows enough about me that, like, they don't probably want to fucking hear it anyway. So it can't come out contextually in that way. People have suggested that I write a book about my experience with losing my son and, trying to come back from that. I won't do that either, because I feel like that would be exploiting my son. That would be exploiting his memory and his life, and he deserves better than that. And I would not feel good in any way if I made even a dollar, in profit from selling a book that I wrote about my experience grieving for my son. I wouldn't do that. I feel like that is completely fucked up and unethical and wrong. And I'm not saying that that's true for everybody that does that. I mean, I'm sure that people have found ways to contend with that and reconcile, and their heart is in the right place, and that's fine. And I wish them well, and I know that those books do help other people that read them, to help them get through those things. And I'm willing to help people too by talking about my experience in grief with my son, and how that's affected me, and how I've been ripped apart and sort of been benefited by this experience. I mean, there's so many calibers to and layers to this, that it's something that I will have to be. It's something that is continuing to happen. It's like an actualization. It's a development that continues, like just as my life does. It's a journey. I mean, it's crazy that I named him that, but it's a continuing, it's an ongoing thing. And I will talk about it in relation to the subject matter that I will actually tackle. But what I will end up doing is taking many things from my life, and moving them in and around what the book will be about. But the main focus of it and what it's all going to be is kind of heavy, and it's going to be controversial. And I don't know who will accept it, who will reject it, who will laugh it off, or who will despise it. It's not my pursuit. My intention is not just a whole big shock value thing. Like I'm not. The idea is not like, oh yeah, this is the greatest way to. This is the greatest clickbait, or like I'm going to get so much attention. That's not what this is about. This really is a question that has been lingering in my mind for decades, at least two. And for the longest time, I was so afraid to even talk about it. But I'm ready to talk about it, to be open about it, about my perspective, and talk about my theories. And I'm going to put them on paper. and I challenge anyone, really, to prove me wrong. When I say, and this will be the title of the book, but I challenge anyone out there to prove me wrong when I say that this is hell. This place where we exist, our reality, is hell. Now, of course, you're like, well, this can't be hell. Because the Christians told us that hell is fire and brimstone and suffering and lakes of fire and big scary monsters. And well, I mean, a lot of those things, I mean, if you look, see perspective, the sun is shining here. Somewhere else, it's freezing cold. Hell is a relative thing, I think our idea of hell has been all mixed up in this being this like the ultimate, most unimaginable suffering that one could ever experience. That we've misplaced ourselves in the actual occurrence and idea that it's really just about constant disappointment and being let down. And it's like you're always reaching, darn it, and it slowly, like the weight of it pulls you down. There's other things that we'll talk about. I mean, can anyone argue the fact that like the world is literally on fire? Come on. And of course, there will be at least one chapter that talks explicitly about how God doesn't seem to have any real power here. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be going into, and I'm going to use many examples throughout my life that will hopefully support my theory, and I hope that over the course of at least season 2, that we'll be able to get other people on here to talk about and discuss this, and that will become part of the book as well. We are here to solve a riddle, to right some wrong, to make sense of something, right? I don't think anyone would argue that there's a purpose to life, although no one claims to know exactly what it is. Maybe it's nothing. But we're going to find out. Am I full of shit? Or is the party just getting started? Well, thank you for joining me on the season 2, episode 2 of the Mad City Podcast. And on the Pat K Facebook page, which is really sort of not necessarily supposed to be initially I started it as like my stage account, you know. Um, Pat K is my my comedy persona, but yeah, and thanks for joining me on YouTube, subscribers there and the Muddy Streets YouTube channel. That's awesome. And yeah, I'll try to get as much of this out on Instagram, and my Madcitypodcast Facebook page, and maybe even the 12-step memes page. So yeah, so we got 12-step memes, Recovery Rebellion, Pat K Comedy Rebellion, um, Mad City Podcast, Mad City Streets, and of course, my Patrick R. Kempfer personal account. All right, well, thank you all so very fucking much for being here with me, and I hope this last half an hour hasn't been too boring or tragic or stupid or I don't know. Who cares? Let's see what happens next. I can't wait to hear what my mother's going to think of this. Bye for now.